Yeah, we did the Pro with Eric, and it's next printing will be the fifth.
Yeah,
the fifth printing on a superhero hooker one shot.
Yeah.
Fifth printing. But it hit the right note, you know. It found its audience, and you know, again, it's the right thing.
Yeah, when it works, it's awesome.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this, and if aside from content issues, is there any further kind of noise or hassle within the comic book industry relating to format in terms of the kind of the place comics have as opposed to the place trade paperbacks have or original graphic novels? It's not. I mean, is it as difficult if we're changing our taste towards a certain kind of product? Is it also the delivery system that's causing this kind of unique point of turmoil?
The delivery system sucks. The delivery system is catastrophically flawed, but there's nothing. It seems to be like we had 20 years, 25 years of people trying to make it not 32-page comics that cost $9. And the smartest guys in the industry have been working on it for 20 years. We can't solve, they can't solve the problem. I don't, your basic 32-page format that costs the same as a gallon of gas is it's broken. It's not so broken that we're going under, but man, every passing year I just think we're still publishing 32-page comics. How's that possible?
Is there anything that's encouraging to you about that?
Well, people have tried a lot of different formats now, and I like that. I don't know about the rest of you guys. I know it's like they don't fit my long boxes, but I mean, I go to the store, I see that stuff out. You know, it's like, wow, mouse guard, look at it, it's all crazy. We just put out this book called Taboo, and it's like it's the size of a record album. And it's square.
Explain to them what a record album is.
It's cool, and then it's like this weird.
It's like a gramophone.
You know, I like that little Nemo book that's the size of a car door.
Exactly.
You know? It's like, it can't fit anywhere in my house, so I just made a table out of it. I love that. You know, and all those weird collections of all those things. I love them. They're great.
But basically, what keeps us in business
is 32-page.
As we like to say in the DCU, what we try to do is continue to produce what makes sense, what people like to buy, so everybody else can take the opportunity to sample and try to create something new. That's the goal. We with the DCU, with the characters as they exist, there's an expectation level that comes from the stories, from the characters, from the format. Like you said, the guys who put those books in the long boxes, those are the ones who are keeping us in business. So the reality for us is that, we hope that Vertigo takes a risk, or with Zuda coming on board that they can take a risk, or Milestone can take a risk because we basically help finance those choices.
To me, what's missing right now more than anything, which is an art that seems to be lost, is a comic book where you can just pick it up and read it as an issue of a comic.
Let me explain why.
John X.
As a guy who's, I've been reading these things for as long as most of you have been alive. And my dad read comics when he was a kid, so I grew up with his collection. And I've since gone back and bought a lot of those comics, and it's really expensive. But it used to be that you could just buy any random comic book, and you would get a story, and often quite a few stories, and you would be perfectly fine to be able to read it, and you don't need any other things that tie into it or any of that.
You know what? There is no market for that anymore. Let me rephrase that. There is a market for it. We can't find it.
Or they can't find us.
Or they can't find us. It doesn't. It flatly doesn't exist. I mean, at least in the grand, like DC, Marvel.
But the thing is, 20 years ago, you could read an issue of The Defenders, which continued into the next issue of Defenders.
Yeah.
But it still made sense by itself.
We're in violent agreement.
Yeah, absolutely. Because honestly, if you go back, if you want to go 20 years ago, if you're buying off a newsstand, I was never buying creator, I was buying character names. Yeah. So it didn't matter what was inside that book. If it was a reprint or not, I was buying, Hulk, Spider-Man, yes I know. Hulk, Avengers, Captain America.
Wow!
got that, right?
Yeah.
He knows it's, okay, House of Mystery, House of Secrets, all right? But I used to buy titles. You never knew who was inside. Now, because there's so much advanced
Front page
knowledge
New
about
York
what's going
Times
on,
tomorrow.
and everything. You got 3 months. People are bored of the comic before they even come out.
Get it, exactly.
They've already passed judgment. They've already read it. They've already know everything about it before they even seen it.
I've been in the store where I look at the comic and I'm like, oh, I think I bought this.
Yeah. No, you just read about it.
I just read about it, I saw the cover everywhere, and I'm like, oh
It's
my
been
God, I
discussed,
didn't
it's
read
been argued
this.
through, and it's
Yeah.
already been forgotten before the time it hits the shelves. Everybody's already bored and moved on. I can't tell you how many people have said before Final Crisis comes out, I wonder what's going to be the changes after Final Crisis.
Yeah.
Can we just enjoy the story?
It's true.
And then you're also competing with, even if you're trying to come out there with a good, solid standalone book, Great and Bold, you're competing with all the Crisis stuff, the Secret Invasion stuff, all the stuff that screams on Wednesday to the readership, you have to have this today. Because by the weekend, everybody on the internet's going to be talking about it. It's going to be the thing people are talking about. If you don't get it today, you are out of luck and you're missing the boat. And that's a perfectly valid way of marketing that stuff. It's just that is so loud that you don't, I don't write Brave and Bold for people who have to have it on Wednesday. I kind of write Brave and Bold for people who pick it up and want to enjoy a good story and it sits alone by itself. And I'm not saying that it's the greatest comic book in the world. It looks pretty, but if there were a market for the kind of story you're talking about, Brave and Bold would be our best-selling comic.
Right.
And it ain't happening.
And the other thing too is that, which we haven't really gotten into, is we talk about, stuff mentioned about the collected editions, graphic novels, the growth in the bookstore market, where a lot of people believe will be the next saving thing, similar to where the direct market is saved from the newsstand. All our stuff is built for collections. A lot of people write for collections. They write a 6-part story, and sometimes the 6-part story that they write is really actually a 2-part, that they just want to put all together. In 6 issues, you wind up expanding it, you wind up decompressing it, you make the story a little bit slower, and in some ways you devalue all the energy of the things you want. I had the other day I had in my office, Jerry Conway stopped by the office, and we came in and we sat down and we chatted, which was kind of fun for me, because this is one of the guys I really wanted to meet. So Jerry Conway comes to the office, and I sat down and he was going through his experiences of working on Spider-Man. And literally, he says, we were just making it up as we were going along, we were throwing it against the wall, every issue was a different idea, every issue was a different character, every issue was something else. And you know what? For every Mindworm and Grizzly, you got your Jackal and Punisher, and that's sort of what happened there. And you don't have that massive influx of ideas, at least in what we do, not what you guys do, that make these things we can grow from, and that's one of the things